Hello, my name is Gene Endres. My wife and I own land at adjacent to 635 Iredell Road, where we lived for 23 years before moving to Ithaca. We had hoped to build out there, but we held off because we saw the threat of hydrofracking, not just to our water, but to the value of everything we held dear out here in Enfield. I still love going there. I was happy to serve for 10 years on the planning board in Enfield. One thing I learned and used to say to people on the planning board was that there were two things you can't buy. One is dark and the other is quiet. But I realized you also can't buy clean air, and it's very difficult to get clean water. I think all these are threatened by the prospect of hydrofracking, not to mention a lot of other things. It's a funny thing that it all sort of comes down to money, and sadly, we are all contributing to the money that powers the gas and oil companies because we use these forms of energy every day. Strange, too, that the people who largely profit from the money that we and everybody here puts into the energy business, they don't live here. They don't live in Texas where they've ruined places. They don't live in Wyoming where they've ruined places, or North Dakota, or Mexico, or Nigeria, or many of the other places mentioned. That's because they're not us. It's kind of us against them. We don't have a lot of power, but I think it's important that we try to wield whatever power we do have against a threat to the way we like to live. Thanks for listening.
Hi, my name is Celeste Frolic, and my husband and I are homeowners at 108 Rachel Carson Way, a few miles down 79 and onto the Ithaca side, but I'm here and I decided to comment because we are in the school district of Enfield. My son comes to school here at Enfield School, so I feel very close to the town and I'm really enjoying getting to know my Enfield neighbors. My family is new to the area. We've lived here about 3 years, but we intentionally chose to move to this land after looking all across the country for a good place to settle down and raise our children, grow our food, and build a life for our children and for our grandchildren. I grew up in the desert in Phoenix, Arizona, and after a lot of thought and soul-searching, my husband and I decided to move, in part, and to leave our extended family. I love the desert, to leave a lot of things that we loved, because we're running out of water there. And it's not the only place. As some people have said, many, many people in the world don't have clean water. And I loved what someone here said tonight. We are water billionaires. The water here is so precious. So my husband and I looked far and wide for a place to settle with clean air, water, rich local food, and farms, and we found it. This land is so rich in terms of food, farms, family, beauty, and most especially water. Few places are so rich in water resources. We cannot allow profit-motivated corporations to come and steal our water for short-sighted hydrofracking drill pads that will peak in less than 8 to 10 years, leave our drinking water polluted and our landscape and farms ravaged. Not to mention the methane that will be produced and will further jeopardize the livability of this planet for all humankind. I want to know that my son can come every day to his 4th grade class at Enfield School and drink the water safely. And for my younger son, and for all of our children to be able to come to school or be in our homes and drink our water safely. I don't want to have to wonder if the food I buy from the farmer's market is poisoned in some way. Our food, our water, our land is so precious. We must protect it. Water is more valuable than gas. We are its stewards. Please pass the ban.
Some people know me here and some people don't. My name is John Gordon. I live on 90 Rothermich Road. I'm 13. I went to school one day and there was a speaker that was going to talk about hydrofracking. There was also a pie graph that had mostly chemicals and little water that was used for the process. I learned the damage it does to land, water, and air. I want to have my future safe. Please vote to ban hydrofracking in Enfield. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Ron Szymanski, and I'm from Freeville, New York. And I did come here tonight to speak to everyone. What you do here in Enfield is obviously up to you, and you have a right to do what you want to do. I belong to a fact-based organization called Dryden Safe Energy Coalition. And one thing that we do is we promote all points of view kind of for educational forums. On the issue, and I understand people have fear of the water, I do too. I'm a third-generation New Yorker. We do know, though, that the drilling can be done safely, and it's the regulations right now through the DEC would accomplish that. A couple of things that I've heard here tonight that I just want to address, too, is that with organic farming, my brother's in organic farming in Livingston County. We have a letter from NOFA, New York, which says that organic drilling or drilling can be done with the organic farming in place. So, these are some of the issues that you need to sort out and make sure that you have the right information on that. The other thing is about Dryden, I will just tell you, it is a mess, a legal mess, and I would recommend you do not bring that on your community. What I would recommend for this community to do, if they do not want drilling, is to set up like a corporation where you buy out the rights of people that don't, instead of having the companies come in and buy out those drilling rights, have this group, this community buy out the other people's rights so that there's no drilling. That's a better way to protect from drilling than to try to put a ban in place and to go through the legal actions that are going to be that are forthcoming. So I would recommend against following through on a ban and come up with other creative community outreach programs that will serve your community the best. Okay, thank you. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know it's safe.
Thank you. Let's move on.
All right, so my name is Tom Sealing. I'm from 302 Van Osten Road. First of all, thanks for doing this, and thanks for the legal process hearing a couple weeks ago, too. It was great. And my wife, Risa Sokolsky, caught the town attorney, Guy Krogh, out in the parking lot as she was going to her car, and they were talking, and he said something that she wanted to quote him on and asked him to send us an email that had that in writing. So this is from Guy Krogh, the town attorney for the town of Enfield. And, the people that were here, I'm sure you realize that he's quite a guy. He knows a lot of stuff. And and this is what he said. I had said that while there is a cost to doing something, whether it be preparing laws or defending them, there is also a cost to doing nothing. And in my opinion, the cost of doing nothing is far greater. And I think everybody that heard him realized he wasn't just like a flag-waving crazy guy. He was a pretty conservative fellow and didn't take strong stances lightly. And I guess one other thing I wanted to mention, I've lived in farming areas all my life. I'm 53. I grew up in Rose, New York, about 60 miles straight north of here, and have lived here for 17 years. And corn prices are the best I've ever seen them by far. In Wayne County, where I grew up, my dad said all the tractor places up on Route 104 can't keep new tractors in stock for anything. So it's a good time to be farming. And I know we all want to preserve agriculture in New York State, but right now things are good, especially if I realize milk isn't in the same boat. But corn ground, right now is a good time. So I would say we don't have to rush on that account either, and I really encourage the town to pass a ban. Thanks a lot.
Good evening. Thanks for having us all here. My name is Cecilia Lawless. I live on Bostwick Road, 768. I've lived here for over a decade. I feel very modest in the midst of people who have a lot of facts and a lot of knowledge about this. I come from a much more emotional stance. I went to Binghamton about 2 weeks ago to buy an old couch. And, there are a lot of friends of natural gas there. And the man I bought it from was a very passionate man about where he lived. He had been born and brought up in Binghamton. He loves upstate New York. He has 250 acres. He has planted an orchard. He has cows. He loves the area. I asked him about fracking very diplomatically. He told me, absolutely, I'm for it. I said, really? That seems a little strange. He says, well, it's all about money. And, it's not going to do any harm. It's going to be fine. It's going to be great. I started to bring out the few facts that I knew. And he says, well, then I'll just leave, right? I'll sell my farm and I'll leave. Or if I make that much money, I'll just buy water. There's not an issue. And I thought to myself, so this is how it works, right? What about those of us who can't leave? What about those who don't want to leave? What do we do? Here he is, very pro, big history, really dedicated to the land. And when it comes down to there being a problem, if there is a problem, I'll leave. I don't want to leave. And I think that many people here don't want to leave. And I think that that's something that we should all really keep in mind. How willing are we to leave if there are problems? Thank you.
Good evening. Thanks for having us here. My name's Jim McMillan. I live at 924 Bostwick Road. I've lived here for 28 years. I was born and grew up on Long Island, where one could not drink the well water that we drank when I was young. The New York State, document, which has looked at this process, has very little information about long-term health care impacts. We've heard a list of chemicals that have actions that can be, cancer-producing. This is not an immediate effect, but a long-term effect. We do not have data about the real impacts on both what happens to the healthcare system when you have large industry come in, change, utilization of road infrastructure, production of dust, dirt. Will this have some impact on respiratory disease? A baseline state of what is the fitness of our soil, what is the fitness of our water, and now how much monitoring is industry willing to do to help us ascertain what the impacts are in terms of those resources, how much resources industry willing to give to allow us to monitor health impacts. The New York State documentation has very little information. We do not know. My plea would be, if we do not know this natural resource is not going anywhere, what is the rush? Why don't we get the data before we would move on a decision? While we are waiting, I would support a clear-cut ban of this in our town. Ben Franklin said, we're either going to hang together or we're going to hang separately. And I would, I would vote for hanging together. Thanks.
My name's John Tavares. I live at 2192 Mecklenburg Road, right along Pond Alley, if you know the area, where each pond feeds to the next pond below it. A lot of water up through there comes off the back hill. What I actually wanted to say, because so much other stuff has already been covered, is I grew up in Western Pennsylvania. Western Pennsylvania has been the victim of mineral extraction since well before I was born. It started out with oil extraction in Oil City, Titusville area, gave birth to Quaker State Oil. They've done conventional coal mining. They've done strip mining for coal. It's a steel valley. I've watched the steel mills dump molten slag into the Beaver River. It lights up the night. the scarring of the landscape from the strip mining for coal, which hasn't gone on much in probably 40 years. It's still a basic wasteland. These companies that do this do not want to put the money in to make things right unless they're forced to. The strip mining for coal has just ruined lots of farmland out in western Pennsylvania, and it leaves the countryside, which was rural farmland, leaves it with an industrial feel to it. It's a change from anything that we have around here now. What we have here is why I moved here from there. And I would just soon not see this go the way of western Pennsylvania. The other thing I'd like to say is these companies have already applied for and received permits to ship this gas overseas, sell it on the world market. Most likely, a good chunk of it is going to end up in China. It will not benefit us other than the initial purchase of it. We won't get cheaper gas. I would like to plead for an outright ban. Protect what we have here while it's still here. Thank you.
Hello, and thank you very much for giving us this forum. My name is Dr. Debra Rifkin. I teach at Ithaca College, and I'm very proud to live here in Enfield on 43 North Applegate Road. I'm very proud of my neighbors who have spoken very eloquently tonight. I want to add something that has not been addressed yet, which is about regulation. If I thought that New York State would adequately regulate the hydrofracking companies, I might be inclined to say, sure, let's get some economic profit from it. On the other hand, I know for certain that New York State does not have the resources it needs to adequately regulate these companies. How do I know this? Well, first, let's look at the supplemental report that is right now on the desk of Governor Cuomo. What have they done? They have outright protected New York City watersheds and Syracuse watersheds. If they thought it was so safe, why did they put that protection for specialized people, but not us, the rural people who are in upstate New York? The second way I know that New York State doesn't have the resources to adequately regulate this gas companies is because Walter Huang of Toxics Targeting has already shown how the DEC has not protected us from current spills, not from hydrofracking, but from other kinds of economic spills, like gas spills, oil spills. There are many environmental hazards here in Tompkins County that have not been dealt with yet because the DEC does not have the personnel or the resources to cover it. This does not give me a lot of confidence that should something go wrong with fracking, that the New York State would step up. So I have a lot more confidence in my local government, in you, to help protect us. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. Very good to be here. My name is Tom Joyce, and I live on Hates Road at the corner of Sage Road, where I've lived for 22 years. For a minute there, I was the last one in line, and I thought I was going to be able to have the rest of the time for the evening, because I had prepared an hour-long speech. But since my friend is behind me, I'll have to give her some time too. I was thinking earlier of a conversation that I had with a neighbor when we were out petitioning in favor of a fracking ban, and he reminded us that all of us use fossil fuels, and therefore, in some ways, we should be willing to accept the dirty end of the industry. But later, a couple of days later, when I had a chance to speak with him again, I reminded myself and him that anyone our age more or less grew up with this way of life. I remember when I was a teenager, I learned how to drive a car, and that's the way we got around, and that seemed to be the way it was. On occasion, we were able to take the train until the train service ended in our city. But it seems as if things are different now to me. I know my two girls very much want to be a part of deciding about the energy use in their future and the effects of it. And now we, as adults, it seems are in a position to be able to make those choices and to be a part of the decision-making that is going on regarding energy choices. It seems as if we have kind of gotten all the easy gas and oil that we can get, and now things are becoming more difficult to get, more costly, and more dangerous. We here are given the opportunity in Enfield to be a part of deciding about this energy future.
30 seconds.
And I'm encouraging us to really take that opportunity and be a part of this decision-making that's going on across the country and around the world. I'm speaking in favor of banning fracking in this town. And any of us who were at the meeting a couple of weeks ago regarding legalities, it seemed more than obvious that we have the resources in our town, and we have an attorney who is very capable of putting together a ban that would work and being able to defend us against any kind of lawsuit that might come as a result of that. So I'm going to encourage the town to ban fracking. Thank you.
Hi, thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. My name is Kristin Alness, and I've been a resident of Enfield for almost 15 years. I live at 51 North Van Dorn, and I have 2 houses there and 19 acres, and I love being a resident of Enfield. I was really hoping someone else would speak up who had some information that I have, because I'm terrified of public speaking. But I'm also a real estate agent, and I've been a realtor for over 25 years. I've worked at Audrey Edelman and Associates since 1997, and I've had a lot of direct experience with the gas drilling companies and buyers and sellers trying to work within the confines of the drilling companies. I've seen properties not be able to go to closing because there are gas leases, and mortgage companies will not mortgage those properties for those potential buyers. That's been going on for quite a long time here. Now what we're hearing more and more are buyers who don't want to choose to purchase because they're terrified. I had buyers just recently waiting to see what the votes would be in various municipalities to decide if they would in fact purchase there. There's no doubt, in my professional opinion, that property values will be severely diminished if fracking comes to our town. And I sincerely hope that you will pass a ban here in the town of Enfield. I could cite lots of individual stories, and if you board members are curious to talk to someone who has that experience, I'd be happy to leave you with my card. I thank you again, and I really thank all of you who brought out all of the stories about the water and the land and the air. That's ultimately very important to me too. But as town board members, I would think that property value and the tax base of the town has also got to be a very strong consideration. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nancy Spiro. I live on North Van Dorn Road, and I got up because I promised Kristin she didn't have to be the last one to speak. Now there's other speakers, so I could sit down, but as often, I have more to say. I can't. I'm a little too short for this. I guess the one thing that I want to say is that I really think I get it why people have signed leases. Life is hard right now. We all use gas, not all of us, but most of us use gas, use oil, and we want to do our part to help the country. People need money to keep their homes, keep their farms, put their kids through school, deal with the added expenses of a new roof, new car, all those things that we all need and we're all told we need and we all want a better life for. I totally get why people sign leases. I don't blame anybody in this town for signing a lease or in any of the towns for signing a lease. And the companies are really good at telling you why signing a lease is a good thing to do, and they're great at it. That's what they do, and I've been listening to all the ads, and I'd love to believe them all. I really would love to believe the ads that I hear and the stories that I hear and things, but I don't. I don't trust them. And one thing I want to say is that really the bottom line is we're all in this together. We're one town. We're in this together. Let's not divide each other. Let's work together. And maybe there's some way that when people need to keep their farm because they don't have enough money, we can use the resources that we would have lost by having fracking. We can use it to give money to the farmers that might be losing their farm because they need some extra help, or their tractor broke down and they need a new tractor. Maybe we can all get together and buy them a new tractor because they need it. Because I love this town and I would like to stay here. Thank you.
My name is Beth McGee. I live at 173 Tucker Road. I've lived there for over 30 years. And Nancy has left me more emotional than I was before I got up here. Being a part of this group, Enfield Neighbors for Safe Air and Water, has made me realize that there are even more Enfield Neighbors for Safe Air and Water than I ever thought were a part of our group. And being here tonight has made that even clearer to me. I have hated having to be a part of this petition effort, but I've loved being part of this petition effort. I would like to ask the town board to accept these heartfelt pleas. If there are people who can give positive reasons why we need to have fracking here, I want to hear them speak here. This is their opportunity. Not just one or two with a room full of clapping for one or two. I want to hear all of those people speak and tell us why. So when it comes here and our community is industrialized, they can look us in the eye and we can remind them of those reasons. And I would like to ask you to please pass a ban in our community. In our community, please pass a ban on hydrofracking. And I would also like to end with asking this board tonight when we're going to hear a response to all of these comments from you. Thank you.
I'd like to thank, most of this room is people that aren't children. They're mostly older people, and they're not going to have to live all their life with fracking. And I'd like to thank them for coming anyway and supporting it not being here. At least most of them. The other thing I'd like to say is that as someone said tonight, water is very precious. It is probably the most precious thing on this planet. There's not much of it. There's not much drinkable water in this world. And I think it's a disgrace that anyone would want to poison it and not let anyone drink it. I think that's just horrible. And I personally am offended that anyone would think it is okay to deprive the rest of the world from drinking water. Personally, I'm just disgusted.
Your name and address? Could we have your name and address, please?
My name's Millie Weatherby, and I'm 12 years old. 377 West Enfield Center Road, not 1377 West Enfield Center Road.
Hi. My name is Stephanie Redmond. I live at 184 North Applegate Road. I'd like to say, as a mother of 3 small children, one of my favorite times of day is when I read their bedtime stories. 2 of my favorite books that I read them are Horton Hears a Who and The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. In Horton Hears a Who, an elephant finds a speck of dust and hears a bunch of people, calls who's, that are too small to be seen asking for help. The other animals in the jungle don't believe Horton, so all the who's in Whoville have to shout, "We are here," to save themselves. The Lorax is about a man who creates a need, a thing that everyone needs. Their factories produce lots of gluppity-glup and schluppity-schlupp that's dumped into the water, and everything is ruined. I think these stories have 2 important lessons for all of us to take to heart. First is sometimes you need to raise quite a din to protect the things you love. And the other is don't put gluppity-glup and schluppity-schlupp in your water. So, I'd like to say, we are here, and we are asking the town board to please don't let anyone put gluppity-glup and schluppity-schlupp in our water.
Hi, my name is Steve Krause. Live at 49 Aiken Road. Been out there for since 1977. Built my first house there because it was a dirt road, and I enjoyed the quiet, rural beauty of the area. I shoe horses for a living. See some of my clients out here. And one of the things that's been great about living in this area and working is, believe it or not, there are many times I'm driving to different farms and I stop and look at the wonderful beauty that we have, and I thank my lucky stars I live in such a great place. Be redundant to say any of the other things people have said so well, but you know what? I think, people are pretty much against this in this community, and you represent the people. And I think that's what you need to do. And it seems pretty much a no-brainer here, sitting here listening to everybody, is the people do not want this in this community. And hopefully there's no conflict of interest anywheres that would, stand in the way of that. I don't know you personally. I wish I did, and I'm sorry I don't. But I think the people have spoken at this point, and maybe I got the last word here or not, but thanks for having us. And again, I think the people don't want this. And this is not about gas. This is about the people. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nancy Lohr, and I live on 73 Sage Road. I work over at the Cornell Vet School teaching physiology to undergraduates, and I've had the opportunity to go. I'm also a toxicologist. That's what I got one of my degrees in. And I had the opportunity to go to several Friday noon necropsy studies. What they do is they bring in pathological specimens, animals that have died, and they analyze the tissues to try to determine what has happened. And several of these cases came from Pennsylvania in the area of fracking. And these were really disturbing to me because they were clear evidence without clear understanding of how these things came about. But in the area of these occur, there was two types of issues. One was a problem with where they thought the drinking water in the area had been affected had affected the cows. So the cows seemed to be coming down with some sort of illness from the water supply, and so now they were trucking in water for the cows. So that was one of the issues. Another issue was what was happening to the wildlife. So they were analyzing beaver in nearby waterways to determine why these animals had sickened, had died in these waterways. So I feel that whether or not we understand exactly how these events occurred, these diseases occurred, we know they are associated with fracking, and we should be concerned. We should not doubt the fact that fracking has disturbed these water systems. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Pierre Sasson. I live at 768 Boystrick Road. Thank you. I've been living here for almost 25 years, became an American last year. And very frankly, it's not in my backyard thing. Big exploitation like gas drilling or oil drilling, it's a messy business. And if you do it abroad, if you do it in Iraq, for example, nobody sees a mess. If you do it in Ecuador and you kill a whole bunch of indigenous people, nobody sees a mess. Here, even if we end up doing it here, we should at least hold the companies who are going to do it accountable for what they do. They can't tell us. They can't tell us what's in the products they use for the fracking. They can tell us how they're going to keep those ponds, those 9 ponds full of toxic waste, safe for others. They can't. And if we don't hold them accountable, it's our fault. We're selling ourselves cheap. Besides, there's been this bait and switch thing because a whole bunch of people just kind of sign those leases for regular classic drilling. And all of a sudden, now we have to hydrofrack. I'm going to say like Jimmy McMillan, what is the rush? The gas ain't going nowhere. So as long as we're not sure it's manageable, why do it? That's it.
Good evening. My name is Betsy Keller, and I live at 49 Aiken Road. And I want to thank everybody here who's brought forward some really compelling points and arguments about, in most cases, about why we shouldn't allow fracking in this area. And to some extent, it might be overwhelming to listen to this information, and I guess I'm here tonight to say I don't think we should overcomplicate this issue. I think this is a very straightforward issue. I think it's about economics. We have a governor who's faced with a huge economic challenge, and he's looking for a solution. And we have a natural gas industry that's saying that we can, through fracking, provide jobs very quickly, make a bunch of money, and it's all about economics. And if you're good with that, fine. If you don't really care about the fallout, the long-term fallout, and you think a short-term economic solution is going to solve our long-term economic challenge that has been created in this state over many, many years through behaviors and practices for spending that have created the economic situation we have now, and you think you're going to solve it with fracking, then fine, bring fracking on. But if you care about the long-term health and viability of this community, then don't complicate this issue. This is not a complicated issue, and you cannot unscramble this egg. Once it's here, and we're done. Thank you for listening.
Hi, my name is Debbie Baskerville. I live at 1062 Bostwick. I've only lived there for about 2.5 years, and I just wanted to say something because my house came with a lease when we bought it. It almost caused us to not buy the house, but my boyfriend's parents live right across the street, and they own 100 acres, and they've been there for about, 35 or 40 years. And it's a beautiful spot, so we just crossed our fingers and went for it. And we were hoping we might be able to get out of the lease, but it was just renewed for another 5 years because that was part of the agreement. So I do stand to gain if there is hydrofracturing on my property, and I sure could use some extra money, but to me, it's just not worth it at all. I live there because it's beautiful and quiet, aside from, the shooting. But most of the time, it's really quiet. I want to stay there for a good long time, and we've tried to think of ways to, make a lot of structures on our property so they couldn't possibly drill because there's little rules about that, but and we kind of just went ahead and bought the property, and we're like, well, I doubt that Enfield Town is going to do anything because I'm sure a lot of people have leases and they want to benefit from it, which I really understand. So I was very pleasantly surprised when people actually started coming around and having petitions, and so I just really want to thank everyone, and I was very pleasantly surprised by who my neighbors are, who I don't know very well, but it's very nice to meet all of you. So, thank you.
My name is Paul Carl. I live across the street from the school. I've been there since 1994. There's a little stream that runs across there, and it goes all the way down into the park. There's 23 acres out back that I like to hunt on, and I would like to continue doing that. I have 2 children that has attended the school. One is still attending the school. I enjoy the stream that's out behind there. The water over here is great. This fracking issue, I've driven tractor trailer on and off since '94, and I know the damages that they can do, not just to the roads, but the air pollutions that they give off. I really don't think that fracking would be good for Enfield. From what I've heard from all of my neighbors, we voted for you to do the right thing, and I'm really hoping that we can put a ban through in this community because we don't need the fracking here, regardless of what they say we can gain out of it. Fracking is just not a thing to do. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jeff Smith. I live on Enfield Center Road. I've lived here for almost 50 years, which is not so important compared to what happens here for the next 50 years. I believe that there's got to be a better way than to risk destroying our environment, and I believe that we have exactly one opportunity to get it right. And I hope that you are able to help us with that. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Karina Lewis, and I live at 43 North Applegate Road. And I wasn't going to speak, but there are a lot of people here who haven't spoken, and no one's been collecting names at the door. And I know I've signed up on the NSAW signatures, but if someone else has a way that we can collect all our neighbors who haven't spoken yet, a pad of paper at the back door or something, that would be a great thing.
My name is Gary Fisher. I live at 329 Buck Hill Road South. I've been a lifetime resident of Enfield, about 65 years, and I've seen the character of Enfield change over that period of time. In my opinion, not necessarily for the better. I grew up when I could ride a bicycle anywhere without fear of being run over by cars zooming up and down the road. You know, we had a population of probably less than 1,000 people when I was growing up. This is a very emotional issue for a lot of people. I think there's more emotion been shown tonight than actual facts, and I don't envy you for having to sort this out, but I hope that the board will actually take a look at the facts rather than just the emotional issue. To me, as a property owner, I have the liberty and the freedom to either lease or not lease, and that's up to me. And I don't think that the board should take the position that they want to take the property rights away from me in my decision whether or not to lease. Fracking has been going on for over 60 years, and over 1 million wells have been drilled. And so it's not a new process. Granted, there have been some mishaps when drilling has taken place. There are mishaps in anything. There's mishaps when people fly airplanes. There's mishaps when people drive their car down the road. They go to Ithaca or wherever. There's all kinds of accidents that are just waiting to happen. Life is not perfect. Government and independent studies have found no cases where fracturing has contaminated underground drinking water supplies.
Please, no interruptions.
That is an emotional issue. And again, it's something you need. It's an emotional issue, and people need to look at that. Again, I'm talking about underground.
Please, no interruptions.
I'm talking about underground water drinking supplies, such as aquifers, okay? There are currently just 2 dairy farms left in the town of Enfield, and because of depressed milk prices, if it hadn't been for leases on gas leases, both of those dairy farms probably would be gone today. People talk about agriculture, and we've gone from approximately 15 dairy farms back in about 1985 down to about 2 now, and basically because of financial reasons.
30 seconds.
Okay, most people don't realize that when you drill a well, you're probably going to get some oil, you're going to get methane. In fact, when I was in high school, just 2 miles from where I live in Schuyler County, a well was drilled, and it ended up having methane and coming out of the well. And it was actually, they burned it off, and they used it for heat in the house. I hear a lot about economic issues, and I hear a lot about the drinking water, and I think probably there's a greater hazard in your drinking water by the chemicals that we all put down the drain every day, whether it's bleach, laundry detergent, and other chemicals. And I think that you ought to take a look at that, because that's going to contaminate your drinking water long before fracking.
Gary. Thank you.
My name is Nicole McGurk, and I live at 60 Coal Grove Road. I actually have an oil lease, or a gas lease rather, for about 100 acres. I got the lease more than 5 years ago, and it was not meant to be fracking. It was meant to be drilling for gas. I had the lease previously with a different company. It was basically bought out by the next company. I don't feel like I had very good control over that situation. At this point, I have a letter saying that they will extend my lease on this land, even though I would no longer renew it after the issues with fracking. I cannot, unless I go to a lawyer, which I will do after our last meeting, get this stopped. It will just continue, even though I no longer wish to lease my land. So this idea that we have choices in this isn't completely accurate, because I would have thought my lease could expire when the time was up. They would have been able to drill on my land, just regular drilling. I did not stop them, neither did New York State. So the idea that we all have this control is not really there. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that I feel sorry for you guys to have to make a decision whether or not you will go ahead with this or not. But I feel like we cannot trust New York State to do this for us, and I really do not I do feel sorry for you. But the New York State government, Cuomo, is going to do it for the economic reasons. And the DEC, my experience with the DEC in the last couple of years is that these people, although very good and very dedicated to what they try to do not have the staffing or the resources to do what they need to do. The result was, in my own property, was damage to a stream due to logging. They tried and tried, they took it to court, and so far, nothing has happened. Now, that is not the end of the world. The trees will grow back. The stream will come back if the water runs through it. But if you do fracking, there is really nothing we can do to protect ourselves. So I feel like it's really up to you to do that. And I wish I could say there's other people to help you out, but I don't see it. So thank you for your listening.
My name is Lori Elrod. I live at 101 Rockwell Road. I'm lucky enough to live in this property that my husband spoke about earlier. It's the Bach family farm. It was a dairy farm. I wasn't planning to speak, but I thought it might be important for you to hear for each and every one of us that's willing to get up and say a couple words. I have a retirement plan, or not a 401k. I have one of those. But I have a plan for my retirement, and that involves this farm. I'd like very much to have a business, which I've slowly started, of taking care of retired horses. We now have 5 horses on our property, but I don't know if that dream will be alive if fracking is allowed to happen in our area. We certainly can't truck in water like they do in Bradford County for cows. I can't do that for horses. I don't think that fracking is a healthy thing for our environment. It's not healthy for any of us, and it's certainly not healthy for my dream of taking care of retired horses on this great old farm that we live on. So I ask you, please, and I also want to thank you so much for hearing all of us talk. I'm sure that your eyes are glazed over by now. But thank you for your time, and please, please pass a ban.
Yes, thank you very much for hearing all of us. And I'm here also to urge you to pass the ban. My name is Theresa Wilson. I live on Mecklenburg Road. I wouldn't have gotten up to speak, but I was speaking from the sidelines, so I figured I better get up here and say, there's a place for emotion here. But the facts speak for themselves, and the facts are voluminous. And I didn't come with a whole bunch, and I'm not going to read any now. But you heard quite a few of them tonight, and you've got plenty of sources to go to that will tell you this process is fraught with risk, and it's totally unsafe. It has a history, yeah. Look at the history. The history tells you that this is unsafe, that it's ruined people's lives, that it's made people sick. And do we have the right to do this to our land and water? You know, that child that said she was offended? Boy, I totally echo that. There's nothing more offensive to me, and yes, I'm being emotional now, than people being so arrogant that they think they have the right to, pollute an aquifer. That's irreversible damage. Come on, get smart, people. I saw a billboard recently that said, drill a well, bring a soldier home. Well, I think put up a windmill, put up a solar collector and bring a soldier home. Bring that kind of industry here to this community. I would love to be participating in something like that. Thanks very much.
Hi, my name's Gilly Waddington. I live at 36 Griffin Road, and I really hate public speaking. But I did want to say something on the topic of property rights and about whether or not you have a right to stop me from having any kind of lease on my land. My dad was a really, really smart guy, and one of the things that he told me when I was pretty little, and we were talking about individual rights, was that you have a right to throw your fist, but only as far as the other guy's nose. You don't really get to, I don't have a right to smack you. And I don't think I have a right to pollute the water that's going to go into your well, no matter what that gives me.
Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Heather Duke, and I live at 100 Halseyville Road. I am somebody who has lived all of their life with endocrine and autoimmune issues, and I don't wish it on anybody. So I don't know why anybody would want to possibly bring that on with the chemical poisons that come with the fracking. I work with people, mentally ill inmates, who have a strong sense of entitlement, and it's not a good way to go. I work hard to help them see that they are not an island and what they do impacts other people. And I'm talking about crime against other people, which isn't fun, but I cannot imagine as a property owner saying, yeah, I'll lease it because I need some extra money because my husband decided to move to the Philippines and leave me, and I could use the bucks. It's okay if I poison everybody else's water, the farm next to me who has cows and horses, or my neighbors. I just don't get it. I don't get why people think that's okay. What is it Spock said? The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And I really think that as a community, we can pull together and help those who maybe are in dire straits. I'm willing to do that, but I just am not willing to poison my son or my animals or anybody else's children. And I really think that we should have a ban on the hydrofracking. Thank you.
My name is James Ricks. I live at 69 Rothermich Road. I came tonight to get information about fracking. I understood that there were very toxic chemicals being forcibly injected into the earth to release gas, which sounded kind of dangerous to me. It seemed at first to me this was like a crapshoot. As I listened to my very evolved fracking resistors, it seems more like a game of Russian roulette. I don't have a doctorate. I don't have much land, but this is my grandson. That's more than enough for me. I don't want him involved or, his future putting some kind of game of chance. I'm hearing, I tried to listen to what was the favorable aspect of fracking, and all I've heard was possibly some litigation that's going to be costly, some kind of monolithic gas companies that are going to eventually plow through here. And I heard too big to fail one time before, and I didn't like it. And it seems like the same thing. I'm hearing the same thing. It's money versus life. Yes. I think we need to ban fracking. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Hello, my name is John Brooks, and I live at 99 Aiken Road. I've been a resident there for approximately a year and a half, but more importantly, I'm a teacher at this school for 4th grade, and I absolutely love this community. And part of the point I want to make is that we've been talking about the quality of water. One of the projects that we do in my classroom is that we raise brown trout in conjunction with New York State, and we release those trout into water, but not just any water. Clean, healthy, vibrant, beautiful water in the streams that we all care about. These kids raise these trout and release them into upper treatment and lower treatment. And I think we need to send a message that we want to continue to have those types of opportunities for the children of this school and this community, and I can still continue to teach those types of values I think are so important to so many people. Thank you for your time.
My name is Matt LaRue, and I live at 1837 Mecklenburg Road with my wife and 2 children. And it is an emotional issue, and I just wanted to add our voices to the call for a ban.
As Gilly so aptly said it is, I absolutely hate to speak in public, but I feel so strongly regarding this ban and that we need to do this immediately, morally, and we need to take care of our future, especially our children. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Catherine Chunison, and I've been living in the town of Enfield for over 30 years. My husband was born and raised here, and we live on land that has been in his family forever. I'm so interested to hear everybody say, I hate public speaking, and they do say that we're more fearful of public speaking than of death. And yet, look at all these people who have come up here tonight to do something that they're terrified to do in order to implore you to do what's right for our community. So, like all the rest of the people, I don't like public speaking much either, but I do have a couple of comments. I urge you to follow the example set by other courageous nearby towns by passing a ban on hydrofracking in our community. This process is clearly incompatible with a collective goal of maintaining an acceptable quality of life in our community. I love that juxtaposition that was just made, money or life. I mean, how much more simple can it be? It is unacceptable to have our wells contaminated. It's unacceptable to have our roads and infrastructure destroyed. It's unacceptable to have our air polluted by increased truck traffic. It's unacceptable for our community to take on the burden of increased crime and alcohol-related dangers on our highways, as experienced in other communities where gas drillers have pitched their tents. It's unacceptable for drilling companies to steal our land rights from us through compulsory integration. It's unacceptable in so many ways. But most of all, it's unacceptable for those of us who call Enfield home to have to sacrifice our way of life so that gas drilling companies can ravage our community, take their money, and run. One doesn't have to look very far to know that fracking companies will not be here to clean up the mess they leave behind. And those of us who make our home here will be left with the wasteland that remains. We will never be able to regain what is sure to be lost in terms of quality of our life. We who live here are looking at long-term sustainable living. Hydrofracking yields only short-term financial gain for some. We are in the fight for our lives. Listen to all these folks. We're in the fight for our lives.
30 seconds.
But it's one worth fighting. I implore the town board to be courageous. Ban hydrofracking in Enfield.
Hi, my name is Steve Goggin. I'm 581 Bostwick Road. We've been there for 32 years. I've sent you a letter detailing my concerns. All I would add is that I hope you let the voices you've heard tonight echo in your heads over the next few days and move very quickly at a ban on fracking. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Trudy Pantella. I'm new to your community. I live at 14 Porter Hill Road, and I own property at 10 Porter Hill Road and 59 Trumbull's Corners Road. Briefly, I had the grave misfortune about 4 years ago to ride in an airplane sitting next to one of the gentlemen that owns the companies that are trying to do fracking in New York State and have done fracking in a number of other states in the United States. The only fortunate thing about it is he was extremely drunk. He could barely stand up, and he could barely speak. But he could speak enough to give me advice about buying up all of the property I could possibly get my hands on, and advise my family to buy all of the property I could get my hands on, and to not pay any attention to all of the terrible things that happened in other states due to fracking, because this was going to make me and my family a ton of money. So the thing that's interesting to me about it is his focus is only on money, and his focus was on ignoring all of the bad things that happened in the other states. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but I do have his business card in my office because he also offered me a job at a really, really probably the best price I could get anywhere of $12 an hour, which I had to laugh at. But I think, that's straight from the horse's mouth, and I will get the information. I'll pass it on to you who that gentleman was. But it's his company, and it's what he's doing, and he knows that there's problems with it, and all he wants to do is make money and move on to the next place. I say that fracking needs to go. It can't be allowed in New York State, and it can't be allowed in Enfield. Thank you.
I'm Bo Lapari, not from Enfield, from Mecklenburg. Just across the way, you did have somebody from Freeville here, so I'll just balance it out. I want to state two facts. Fracking that we're talking about here is a new process. It is not a 60-year-old process. The process of fracking is 60 years old, but what we're talking about today is high-pressure, high-volume hydrofracking, which involves much higher pressures, much longer laterals. So it's a very different process. This process is only, that we are talking about, is only about 5 years old. It's not a 60-year-old process. Second fact, there has been proven contamination of groundwater by fracking. There are now 2 proven instances. You can read about both of them in the New York Times. The most recent one was very compelling. They actually drilled monitoring wells in Wyoming next to it to measure the water, and they have found methane and other contamination there. So the fact is that there has been proven contamination of water. And also you should think about the anecdotal reports of water contamination. Fracking comes into an area, people's water starts going bad. It's kind of like saying out here in the country, you ever had a stray cat show up at your house, and you take it in, and all of a sudden you got fleas in the house 3 days later. And it's like, my wife says, cat's got to go out of the house. I say, no, the cat didn't cause the fleas because I've never seen a flea actually jump from the cat. to my bed. So we can't say that cat has fleas. Well, in this case, we do know the cat has fleas because everywhere they go fracking, we start to see wells being contaminated, we start to see water being contaminated. These are facts. Thank you.
My name is Jeannie Wright. I live at 262 South Applegate Road. I do not own the land I live on, but I love where I live. I work at this school. I've been here for more than 10 years. I love the children of Enfield, and I don't want to see hydrofracking come in here. It would hurt our community. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Paul Carmen. I live on Georgia Road in the town of Enfield with my wife Heather. And we live on 16 acres in an old 1850s farmhouse that she's owned for a long time. This past Thanksgiving, we went down to Pennsylvania to visit my family. I have a relative who has a lot of property in Pennsylvania, and he does have wells on his property. I asked him, what's going to happen when your water goes bad? Why did you do it? And he said, well, the reason why I did it was my neighbors did it. They did it first. And if their water's bad, I know my water's going to be bad, so why don't I just make a little money? It's pretty sad. I said, so what do you think about fracking in New York? He said, I hope you guys don't do it so that I can come and move to your state. So I think that I do hope you support a ban on fracking. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Joe Damiano, and I am not an Enfield resident, but I have been an Enfield resident in the past, and I would like to be an Enfield resident one day in the future. I've been looking for land to grow food on, to farm. Myself and my wife, who was born in this area, would love to do that. We have suspended our search for land because we need to see what's going to happen around here, not just in Enfield, but statewide, before we make a decision to stay, because we're pretty petrified of the thought of poisoning water and poisoning the land here. And we don't want to invest everything we save for our whole lives into an area that might just become wasted, to be quite honest. And I think, as an outsider, I'll speak now that I've heard many dozens of people speak for a ban, and I've only heard a couple people speak. Maybe they seem like they didn't want a ban. So from an outsider, it looks like a no-brainer to me that all these people came out here tonight wanting just about unanimously the same thing. So it just seems like, it kind of seems like a no-brainer that you guys have to put a ban in place. And I really, really hope that you do. And I would love to live here in Enfield someday. Thank you.
Hi, I'm another short person. I'm Lisa Trent. I live on Rothermich Road. Thank you, Pony. I live on Rothermich Road, and I also work in the school, too, as well. And I just want to say that I'm so proud of this community for coming together and not just rolling over without a fight. I really think I'm proud of Dryden. I'm really proud of Dryden for what they're doing, for making a stand, and it looks like we're trying to make a stand, too. And I'm so proud to live here in this community of people who would like to make a change and take a stand for something that they believe strongly about. And I just have a small quote. It's by Margaret Mead. And the quote is, "Never doubt that a group of like-minded individuals can change the world. Indeed, is the only thing that ever has." Thank you.
My name's Greg Robidoux. I live at 210 Sheffield Road. I wasn't going to speak tonight either, but I said the lady over here touched a little bit on the state's position on how they stand on this. As far as if I understood at the last meeting, they're kind of in reserve that they've had a ban, so you can't do anything on state land. And I don't think that Enfield should be a guinea pig. They had the right, I guess, from what I understand, to jump on the bandwagon later on if everything works out with everybody else to change their position on being able to drill on state land. But I don't think we should be guinea pigs. And I've got 3 grandchildren that'll be going to Enfield School here, and my daughter lives just on the other side of us in town of Ithaca, but her kids go to school here. So I'm for the ban. I just want to know. Thanks.
Hi, Kathleen Passetti at 629 Hates Road. I live there with my partner and 3 children. I support the ban. Thank you for listening to all of us. I've been thinking about how to describe this to my kids when they ask what I was doing tonight, and other meetings that I've been to, and when people have come to the house and we, signed petitions. And it's probably been said many times before, but the Dr. Seuss Lorax book is really the way I can best explain it to them as something potentially that could happen. And so I'm just thinking about that and just want to thank you all and put it on record. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Tabitha Tesori. I live on 596 Bish Road. I'm a little nervous, I'm sorry. I had no intention of speaking tonight, but I had no idea. I know nothing about hydrofracking. And coming here and learning all the problems that we'll be facing and learning a lot of concerns, I would just hope that maybe 5, 10, 15 years from now, when I have kids, I can bring them back here and show them the beautiful land that I grew up on, and having the sense of community that these people have, because I know none of you, I'm sorry. Sorry. But I would love to bring them back here and to show them the beautiful land and the surrounding area and the sense of community that they have. So I'm hoping that you ban hydrofracking.
My name's Rebecca Arliss, and I thank you all for listening to all of us tonight and taking this time in this public forum. I think it's extremely necessary, and I also was at when the 2 lawyers spoke before, and it was very informative to the point where I feel like I came here tonight to hear what my neighbors would say and get more of an understanding of where everyone stood in Enfield, because I know where I stand and I know where my close neighbors stand, but I am generously pleased that there's so much information and people have come so understanding of the issues, and that just to see that this issue seems to keep coming back to, we have a lot of arguing going on at our own home about it. I have a teenager, and so we get going back and forth, and we're really big on trying to weigh the issues, trying to see both perspectives, trying to say, what makes sense from this side? What do you see on that side? My teenager in particular. And what has come out of that is it really comes down to the money. It seems like a few people who really, I come from poverty. I've lived in very poor times in my family, and I know what it's like to be scraping by, and I know what it's like to want those few extra dollars that you can see from, I'm a property owner up on Buck Hill Road, and I have a few acres up there in my home and my children and my animals, and I know what the feeling is to maybe need that couple of extra $100 or what it might be, but it's being weighed against at this time. It's being weighed against the possibility, just the risk, just that thought that we can all analyze, and that is where we're at a point where we can analyze this and we can say reasonably and logically, where does our risk lie, in property rights and all the legal issues that we heard about. Those things come down to, we have a right to analyze that and to say, this is New York State, the DEC, they don't oversee this area. It was explained to us that it's our job, if we want to take control of what is actually happening, we need to be the ones to do it. That was how it was explained to us, and I really believe that they had our best interests at heart. They were speaking from an unbiased position, and they were saying, this is where you need to protect your it's not a property rights issue at all. It's a land mass issue, if you may. It's affecting all of us. It's affecting land, water, air, all the things that don't lie under property rights. And I just feel like that needs to be highlighted, to the fact that you all, I hope, will see that is what we're trying to present to you, and that our neighbors that had the opportunity, I have those neighbors that say, I just want the money, but they're not here because that money isn't as important as all the rest of these things. So thank you.
Anyone else? I'm glad to hear that I'm not the only one that doesn't like to public speak. Anyways, I thank you all for coming out and giving your opinions to the board. We really needed to hear that. If you would, on your way out, like the last session that we had, if you could take your chairs with you. There are racks in the back to help the staff for getting this gym cleaned up. That would be greatly appreciated. Also, just a reminder, for those who are interested and able to attend the public hearing tomorrow night down at the State Theater from 7 till, I think, 11, but I'm not sure on the ending time. 7 o'clock. Yes, sir. We will be talking about this at the next town board meeting, which is on the 14th of December.